The Jack Welch Management Institute at Strayer University helps you go from, I know the way, to I've arrived with our top 10 ranked online MBA. Gain skills you can learn today and apply tomorrow. Get ready to go from make it happen to made it happen. And keep striving. Visit strayer.edu/Jack Welch MBA to learn more. Strayer University is certified to operate in Virginia by Chev and has many campuses, including at 2121 15th Street North in Arlington, Virginia.
This MailChimp-verific jingle is brought to you by MailChimp.
MailChimp your marketing with AI and more. Advanced automations to connect to your store. MailChimp your marketing and boost your clicks. Multi-channel campaigns now with SMS. That's lit.
MailChimp your marketing today with the #1 AI-powered email marketing and automation platform, Intuit MailChimp. #1 based on publicly available data on competitors' customers. Plans vary. SMS available as add-on. Visit MailChimp.com.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Robertson, the first time we've seen them attack them, and there's Francis! Well, that's what I've wanted to see Robertson do. And still Robertson, getting his shot in, and a goal! Robertson!
Hello, welcome to the Tricky Talks podcast. After last week's fun extended episode, we're back this week to chat Euros, redevelopments, multi-club ownerships, and yet another big extension. Talking of which, I'm joined as always by Chels. How are you?
Hello, you're right.
Yeah, have you recovered after last week's show, by the way? I never did send that clip to your dad, but I hope he watched it.
Oh, just about. I've got a bit hot and bothered then, but yeah, I've just about recovered. Well, there might be still some laughter. I'm not going to promise anything, but I have recovered, thank you.
Yeah, for those that don't know what we're talking about, check out our accounts on X and Instagram for a hilarious chat about Willy Bolly's extension. Say no more. And of course, Mollo is here as well. How are you doing, sir?
All good, thank you. No IT issues have been bothering me today at all.
Yeah, it makes a change really, doesn't it? Last week you were falling off your chair. This week you've had issues with your lighting and your camera.
No, this is just my summertime tan, not shadow.
Excellent. All right, good stuff. Right, let's get cracking, go straight into it then. We've got a lot to get through. Surprisingly, in the middle of summer, there's still plenty to talk about. Let's kick off, though, with Elliot Anderson and his participation in the Euros, with England winning the tournament, of course. And I think it's fair to say Elliot Anderson played a very key role in England's success in that tournament. I thought he was absolutely outstanding. Got certainly a lot of rave reviews, with a lot of media folks now talking about getting an England call-up. Mollo, start with you. I know you watched a lot of the action. What were your thoughts as the tournament progressed, ultimately in winning the tournament?
He looked like a man amongst boys. He was absolutely outstanding. Dominated the midfield, drove the midfield. As part of a fantastic team, I have to say to Lee Carsley, massive credit. We had the debate on a WhatsApp group. What would happen right now if that squad played against the senior squad? Because there's not many young lads in there that have got a lot of physical development still to do. They were very powerful. Obviously, defence was probably a bit weak, but going forward, the patterns of play, and Elliot Anderson was absolutely key in that. His partnership with Alex Scott in the middle developed as well. Really, really impressed. But he showed just how good he is in that deep sitting position that he doesn't often play for us. He kind of does a bit. His potential is absolutely almost unlimited, isn't it?
Yeah, and of course he played a key role in winning this year's tournament, much like Morgan Gibbs-White did in winning the last tournament, didn't he, Chelsea? I mean, we're quite lucky now. We've got two midfielders who are certainly on the up and up, aren't they? And we feel very fortunate to have both at the moment.
Yeah, definitely, and very smug having both of them as well, may I add. But yeah, I mean, you both used the word outstanding, and again, I'm going to use it and make it a hat trick. He up with there with Harvey Elliott, was one of the most outstanding players of the tournament. I mean, Anderson was composed, he was calm, he took a few beatings in that final, but he kept his cool the whole time. The way he can adapt himself to the game, I think, is absolutely bloomin' brilliant. And yeah, you've got to give credit where credit's due, really. And I'm going to echo what Mollo said. Lee Carsley, you've got to, when you look at the team for the under-21s, you think, oh, if only. But yeah, all of them done an amazing job. But I mean, what a job Anderson did on his own.
What about the future of Anderson then? How soon do you think, either of you really, in terms of getting that full England call-up?
I think because of the position he plays, he's actually in a position that he could quite possibly get a call sooner rather than later if he has a strong start to the season and also one or two injuries of key positions. You look who he's competing with, and there's Declan Rice for me is a shoo-in in that defensive role, and if he was injured, we've got various players who aren't quite on that level, and that's where I feel that Anderson could step in and do that role or play alongside him. He was that good at times. Even the commentators, we all know how good he is on the ball and everything else, but his reading of the game was different gravy, wasn't it? He was in the right place, he was breaking things up, and then he was making things happen. I can see, injury permitting, and if he obviously kicks on from his superb season that's now finally finished, he's got to be fighting for a chance to make that World Cup squad, genuinely.
Wasn't there a clip, Mollo, of you saying about Anderson? Was that in our second pod?
Yeah.
Wasn't there?
Yeah,
is that on our Instagram, I think, isn't it? About you saying about Anderson getting a call up and
yeah, it's on our social media feeds, and I think last time I looked, it had about a couple of thousand views.
Yeah, I rate him that highly on what I've seen. Yeah. He's a complete midfield player. I wrote an article about him quite recently for something, and what I said was in the middle third of the pitch, I don't think there's anyone that's done any better in the Premier League this season in terms of stats, in terms of influence on the game. In his defensive third, he's done well. Where he now needs to perhaps kick on to become that really complete midfield player, and it's not that he's bad at it, but he had, I think I said, 40 shots last season in the whole season, only 7 on target, and obviously 2 goals, 6 assists. But if he can add a little bit more, and I'm not talking adding 15 goals a season, but a few more assists, a little bit more in that final third, he's a complete player. And to think, when we laugh now, don't we, that when I saw 35 million, I remember thinking, that's a lot of money, and then we found out that maybe it was a bit of a PSR thing. How much is he worth now?
Exactly.
Dare you dream, Chelsea, in a year's time, if Forest have this similarly good season like they did last season, with the World Cup in a year from now, can we dream about seeing both Elliot Anderson and Morgan Gibbs-White starting for England at the World Cup? How cool would that be?
I mean, what a dream. Well, I say dream. It can definitely be a reality. That would be just having them both there, in midfield. I mean, when you've got Anderson on the pitch, regardless of whether you're watching him play for England, whether you're watching him play for us, he just seems to own the midfield. Yeah. He takes control of the game. And, I mean, people give him a rough time because they know he's the danger man. They're very aware that he is and what he can do with the ball. He can press it forward. He can make himself more of a defensive midfield. He can do it all. And I think that's why people find him such a threat. And, I mean, to have both him and Gibbs-White starting for England for a World Cup, I mean, we can dream, but it can definitely be a reality in my eyes.
Well, let's hold that thought for 12 months. Elliot Anderson's now going to have a short break, of course, and come back probably slightly later than the rest of the squad for pre-season training. Let's hope he comes back fully refreshed and raring to go. Somebody who has come back and is undoubtedly raring to go is Neco Williams, who's just signed a new contract which ties him to the club until 2029. That's just as important as a new signing, isn't it, Mollo, to tie down your core players to long-term contracts?
100%. We've been saying, haven't we, since last summer and now into this summer, we need to make sure we don't lose key players. Now, arguably 12 months ago, Neco might not have been seen as much of a key player. Good player, obviously. I always rated him anyway. But without doubt, he's become an absolute key player. And I think what he does on the pitch and his ability and everything is one thing, but I think it's that attitude he's shown and that drive to be better and better and better. And we can see it, can't we? His trajectory has been like that, hasn't it? With very few dips. And apart from when he had that one freak game against Wolves where he was absolutely incredible, he's generally just gone from being promising to good to very good and now absolutely outstanding. So tying down key players is brilliant. I'm really pleased Neco's there. Let's hope the other fullback follows.
What about you, Chelsea? Do you agree with Mollo? Are you impressed with Neco's extension?
I am impressed with Neco's extension as well as Willie's extension.
This is a deja vu moment, isn't it? Really?
Definitely.
But in all seriousness, no, tying down your key players, as Mollo said, to long-term deals is essential to keep that momentum of the team going forward. And who's next? Ola Aina, Callum Hudson-Odoi?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's got to be that. It's just got to be a snowball effect now, isn't it, of just locking down them key players. I mean, Neco Williams to sign until 2029. I mean, that is absolutely brilliant. I mean, echo what Mollo said. He was always a good player, but this last season, he has without a doubt been our most improved player for me, and I think for a lot of people as well. I mean, we had other fullbacks come in like Moreno, who really did threaten him, and he could just tell he works well under pressure. He was able to prove himself, and he runs himself ragged in our games, and he's definitely a key player, and I'm so happy that he's signed a new contract.
Yeah, awesome. I don't know whether you guys saw, but Neco Williams announced his new contract on his social media accounts, and in particular on Instagram. There were comments from Callum Hudson-Odoi and Ola Aina, and there were some remarks made by Neco about them being next. So whether that was a big hint, time will tell. But
it better be.
Let's keep our fingers crossed on that sense. And we'll talk about more Neco later, as we're going to attempt his quiz that NFFC have put on their website live at the end of the show. We haven't even seen the questions yet, and we're going to do it blind, and I hope neither of you guys have done your research, because I'm going to test you. But that's coming hopefully at the end of the show. In the meantime, continuing some recent development news, and that is around Rushcliffe Borough Council have approved redevelopment of the City Ground, which has been a long time coming, hasn't it? And obviously great news for the club in the long term. Obviously not going to be without its short-term problems, given the fact they're going to lose a chunk of capacity. Your thoughts, Mollo? Obviously, as a season ticket holder, you're going to be directly impacted by this redevelopment, having your ticket in A block. But what are your overall thoughts about that?
It's the next step is how I see it. I'm not getting carried away that I'm going to go and see the bulldozers there in the next 6-12 months. There's a very large sort of hurdle to jump in finding and building a boat club, and quite rightly, historically it was. What will be interesting is, because there's lots of places that look ideal. I don't know what a boat club requires apart from a river,
a boat,
and a boat or two, and people in them. Getting over that hurdle, once that's happened, then I'll really start to think this is coming soon, because without a doubt we need more seats, and we spoke about it in a previous pod. That I actually genuinely, I listened to the whole meeting online, and I went shopping with the wife, and I had the whole on my phone listening to it. And what it's helped me to do is make sure that come the next set of council elections, I know exactly who I'm not voting for, and it's nothing to do with political parties. I don't care what they do in Switzerland. And as a local resident, it was like they were talking about traffic problems that happen 20 weeks a year or whatever. It's for an hour after the game. I live locally. Sometimes I catch a bus home. Sometimes, I'll be honest, I never walk home because it's uphill. I walk to the game sometimes. Sometimes I'll think, it's a bit busy. I'll go and have a cold drink for 20 minutes, half an hour, and then get the next bus. Or I'm very lucky sometimes if I haven't got a ticket for my wife, or one of my sons that drives it sometimes doesn't get a ticket. They'll come and pick me up, and they'll wait in one of the car parks, actually on the West Bridge side, and go back. And they've made such a mountain out of a molehill. The construction side of it and all the other things that are important, I get that. They have to discuss them. I get all that. But they've made a huge mountain out of a molehill. And I'll say what I said at the time. They actually closed off the comments. The comments were the funniest part of it, to be fair.
I bet.
But the ground has been there since 1898. Every single person who lives in and around the ground and within the vicinity of the ground, myself included, know that on a big match day there's going to be some issues with traffic. It's going to be worse. It's actually no worse really than rush hour, apart from there's more people walking across Trent Bridge. And it infuriates me that there's all these NIMBYs, and that's what they are, because they bought their house there because of the good schools, the nice area, the beautiful scenery by the river, and they complain that this football ground that's been there over 100 years affects them. And apart from possibly one of the councillors who may have been born before that, they've got no right to complain, in my opinion, if that makes sense. They're building a brand new like Sainsbury's and stuff near me, and I'm like, I suppose it happens, be handy. But to move to... People who live near schools have the same kind of issues, but they know when they buy a house, they're living near a school, and they know what's going to happen at 3:30 or whatever. So it's great we've got over it. I've had my rant now about the councillors, and it was the way they got bogged down with the traffic thing. And also, point of principle, not football related, it frustrated me that some of the people at the meeting were making points, having clearly not read and digested the information that had gone out to them. The chair had to point page such and such already addresses that. And I'm like, what the heck are we paying our council taxes for here? And they are big here, take it from me.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with these developments, you're always going to have a number of people objecting, no matter what it is. You can't satisfy everybody. Having said that, though, the people that do live around the ground and the area, like yourself, Mollo, have made a conscious choice to live in that area, haven't they? Because clearly the ground has always been there before them. There's nobody who's living in the vicinity that was living there prior to 1898 or whenever it was they moved to the city ground. I can't remember the exact date, but everybody has chosen to live in that area. So they knew exactly what, like you say, Mollo, what they were going to let themselves in for come match day. So there's no reason why they should object to a problem that, in their eyes, is just there anyway. So the key question I want to ask you, and sorry to keep going back to you, Mollo, but you're obviously the most relevant person to talk about this, about the boat club. The boat club are going to have to be moved regardless of where they are located, right? So whether that's a mile down the river or 2 miles or wherever, they're going to have to find a new location. Why do they need to do that first and not start on the redevelopment in the interim? Because we know the one guaranteed thing is the boat club are going to have to be moved. So is there any reason in your mind, or what have you heard around the rationale about finding that home first?
Well, the rationale I'm going to assume is something to do with the building and the plaza they're going to build, which goes through to the river, which is great. But ultimately, it's actually a planning condition, so we have no choice. We can't go back to them and say, if we start on the back of the stand and start this and start that, then we can maybe think it just isn't an option. Hard to believe now looking at me, but I go running along there from time to time, all the way down Lady Bay and whatnot, all the way to Home Pierpont there. It's absolutely stunning. And you probably remember from the early days, Simon, the old Trent Pool as it was back then, and all down there, the other side of Lady Bay Bridge, a lot of that is City Council owned. Surely they can find us a nice spot there for what is a fantastic boat club who deserve to be in amongst it still, not stuck up in Clifton or miles down the river or something, near all the other boat clubs, because it is it is heritage and it is part of their history as well. But to me, it looks like there's lots of room. But my worry is, the delay. Once they find the spot, let's say it's the other side of Lady Bay Bridge where Trent Pool used to be, kind of still is, and then they're going to have to put in another planning application, aren't they, and go through the whole thing again, potentially. Yeah. It's interesting, but it is a condition of it, to be fair, and I'm not knocking that, I'm not disputing that at all. It is what it is, but I can't see it happening next summer.
We'll come on to that later on in the pod, because we're going to talk about a few other things that will be impacted by any redevelopment. But that's an ongoing saga that we're going to have to cope with for a little bit longer yet. Another saga that's been ongoing for a while, Chelsea, is this Lyon Crystal Palace scenario where UEFA have postponed their decision on what to do with Crystal Palace and their entry into European competition because it seems to be directly impacted by Lyon's relegation to the French League 2. Now, reading between the lines, it seems as though the competition Forest are going to be competing in next year is now directly tied to whether Lyon are going to be in League 1 or League 2. So if Lyon are relegated to League 2, it looks like Forest are going to be in the Conference League. But if they win their appeal and they are reinstated to the French top tier, then it looks like Forest are going to be in the Europa League.
What does every USAA member have in common? Family. We're one big family who supports the military community and their eligible families. And if you, your parent, or spouse served, you could join our family and save big on auto insurance. Visit USAA.com/join today to check your eligibility. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
On WhatsApp, no one can see or hear your personal messages. Whether it's a voice call, message, or sending a password. To WhatsApp, it's all just this. So whether you're sharing the streaming password in the family chat or trading those late-night voice messages that could basically become a podcast, your personal messages stay between you, your friends, and your family. No one else. Not even us. WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone.
Introducing the new Volvo XC90. With 7-seat versatility, Google built-in, and advanced safety features for all your precious cargo. The new Volvo XC90, designed for life. Visit volvocars.com/US to learn more.
So this is another saga that's been ongoing for a while, and I think from Forest's perspective, they need to know which competition they're in, don't they, Chelsea? Purely because it impacts the quality of player that they're going to be able to approach and potentially sign.
Yeah, exactly. It's just typical of the council, typical of UEFA, isn't it? They just can't make a decision, and that just takes ages to. Because wasn't it supposed to be done yesterday? The decision, wasn't it?
Yeah.
With Palace, I struggle. You know how I feel about the whole Palace saga anyway. But like I said in a previous pod, if that was Forest, there is no way we would have been able to have it with Marinakis. Absolutely no way. But I just don't understand why it's taken everything so long. We need to know as a club, like you said, Simon, whether we do, what players we need to buy in, and just so we know where we are as a club. And I'm just not sure why it's taken everybody so long to be able to do things about it. Because I'm trying to think of when. So is it whether they get relegated to League 1, League 2? So how, I'm trying to work out how it would affect them in that way. Can you explain that again to me?
Yeah,
Simon?
so if Lyon are relegated to League 2, one of the conditions of the settlement is that they would withdraw from European competition next season, opening the door for Crystal Palace to participate. And if they participate without Lyon being in the Europa League, then that opens the door for Palace to be in the Europa League, as they are due. I mean, let's give credit to Palace. I think everybody would be pleased to see them in Europe because they fully deserve it. I don't think there's any doubt about that. However, if the UEFA committee decide actually Lyon are going to win their appeal, obviously the settlement agreement doesn't come into play. Therefore, they would be eligible to play in the Europa Conference, which would have a knock-on effect to Crystal Palace. Now, reading between the lines, whilst there have been no decision on Crystal Palace yet, you can clearly see that things are not working out in their favour if we're talking about Lyon retaining a place in European competition if they don't get relegated. So whether that means Palace will be bumped down to the Conference League or out of Europe altogether, I don't really know, but that's kind of how the two things are all tied together.
Yeah, it's just an absolute mess, really, isn't it? For every club that is involved, with knowing where they're at. So yeah, they just need to start making decisions really, and start making them soon.
Yeah, I believe the next hearing of the appeal is this coming Friday at the time of recording. So it may have already been announced by the time people are listening to this, potentially.
For me, it feels like there's so many more questions than answers. Has John Textor sold his shares? Does that make a difference? All the things you've already raised. It's a typical mess. I think all three of us have placed on record. Of course, we'd love Forest to play in the Champions League or the Europa League ahead of what we've got, but Palace should be in there. They deserve it. They've earned it. And the stuff going online at the moment about Forest trying to buy players to make sure they've got money at Lyon, it's again a bit unedifying, isn't it?
It is, and it's not. Forest don't operate like that. I'm sure they buy players, and we'll come on to a couple of those shortly. They buy players to improve the squad, not to help other teams. There's no way they would do that. I don't think. It doesn't fit the business model or the way Marinakis works. I don't think. But interesting one to see how that one lines up. Moving on, then we've got some pre-season friendlies that have been announced finally in the calendar. Obviously, we knew about Birmingham, the Trevor Francis game on the 2nd of August, but 3 more have been added. Chesterfield away on the 12th of July, Fiorentina at home on the 5th of August with a 7:45 kickoff, and a Saudi Arabia team, Al Qadsiya. I've got no idea whether I've butchered that or not. But they've got another home game on the 9th of August, and I presume that will be their last game before the actual season starts. 5:30 kickoff for that one, interestingly enough, in the middle of summer. I won't be able to make either of those home games because I'm away, unfortunately, on holiday. But at least they've got some dedicated fixtures, haven't they, Mollo, in the calendar now?
Absolutely. Pre-season is 100% about getting your combinations, getting to know each other if they don't already, getting your fitness, and 0% about competitiveness. I'm going to have to put my cards on the table here, and having played with me, you may remember this, Simon. I despise pre-season friendlies. As far as I'm concerned, they could all be behind closed doors. I'm going to go to the Trevor Francis one out of respect for Sir Trev, obviously, but I hate them. And I paid 15 quid a couple of years ago to go to a Notts County one, where in the whole game there was 2 tackles, and one of them was a really nice slide tackle by Joe Worrell, but that was it. I hate pre-season friendlies. I'm the worst person to ask. It's all about building up. As far as I'm concerned, go back to the Cloughie days where we go and play some Norwegian Sunday League team and win 15-0 to get loads of goals in us, build up your fitness for the season. That said, they're very important in terms of building up for the season. So I'll probably end up going to the Fiorentina one because it's on the doorstep, and it's better than watching EastEnders or something, which I don't do.
Yeah, Chelsea, that game against Fiorentina that Mollo mentioned could be a potential preview for a Europa Conference final, maybe, against Milenkovic's old team. They do seem to be one of the stronger teams in that competition, don't they? So do you think it's important the team need to demonstrate how they compete with Fiorentina at this, even though it's a pre-season game where, like Mollo said, there's nothing riding on the result, there's nothing riding on the actual performance, but given the opponents and who they might be facing at the end of the season, what do you think about that one?
Well, I think it's testing the waters, isn't it, and it's gaining experience. I do have to agree with Mollo. I don't like friendlies. And pre-season game, I just find them very... I find them stressful to watch because I totally understand that they're trying to gel players together and they're just trying to see what tactics work and everything like that. But for me, I just find that it's not how we're going to play.
On the playing front, so obviously you've played football with me over the years at times, Simon, back in the day.
Yeah. My
disciplinary record was pretty decent on the whole. But I've been sent off in pre-season more times than a real game because I hate pre-season. I've objected to having my cricket season interrupted by Sunday League managers going, "Oh no, we've got to get ready for the game. We've got to get ready for the season." So I used to go out there as an angry man, and I used to think after the first 10 minutes of everyone passing around and faffing around, I think, right, I'm just going to put in a big tackle on someone and stir it up a bit. So I just hated them. I wanted it to get competitive. What's the point otherwise? But yeah, I get it. It's very important for the players, but I don't care if they do it behind closed doors.
Yeah,
but,
Chelsea. He's looking a bit flustered, isn't he? He's got. I can't tell whether it's a nice tan or whether he's getting Mr. Angry now. But yeah.
I think it's a bit of both. I think it's Mr. Angry and Mr. Mahogany all at once.
I haven't been sent off for at least 10, 15 years now.
I've never been sent off, Mollo. Never even booked.
Hang on, you never made a tackle. That's why.
Yeah, that's quite true. Actually, that's quite true. Right, moving on then. Another piece of news that came out this week was the membership scheme open for renewals, and Forest announced all existing membership tiers were being retained with a few tweaks, but they have introduced 2 new memberships, which is a good thing: My Forest Junior Reds and My Forest International Reds, which are great for those kind of audiences who perhaps would otherwise struggle to feel attached to the club or to get tickets or whatever. I know you were keen on the Junior Reds one, weren't you, Mollo, in terms of seeing that resurrected? Because we were both probably Junior Reds back in our younger days, weren't we?
Yeah. Best seats in the house next to the tunnel when we were little kids. Get autographs.
Aww.
But yeah, I think it's a great move, sensible move. It's actually cost me less for membership for my wife and littlest one this season than it did last season because of it. I think the international one's a great move because realistically, how many are you talking about per game? But I read a guy, I know a few international guys that come over from time to time, but one guy went to 5 games last season and he paid for hospitality every time to ensure a ticket. At least this time, if he comes over 5 times and 1 or 2 of those times he gets a normal ticket, it saves him money, and it's a great move by the club generally. And you've got to do something to encourage this next generation. I've already mentioned it. It's now 4 years, I think it is, or 5 years nearly, since you could get a season ticket for a young child for the first time. So that generation are now, some of them starting senior school this year, haven't been able to get a season ticket to join their parents, uncles, aunties. My son, I have to get a ticket with my wife, as you know, and I know you're the same, getting tickets for your lad. So I'm really pleased about that. It's a great move on both fronts.
One of the things that has come out as a result of these 2 new groups is that there are going to be a small number of tickets made available to these groups for each and every home game. What that means is, as a knock-on effect, it's going to mean less tickets available for the My Forest Pro, My Forest Plus and Core members. But it's important to, and obviously I'm impacted directly by that, as you are, Mollo, with some of your family members. But it is important to get that next generation and into the club as best they can. And obviously it's difficult at the moment with a limited capacity, given the number of season ticket holders there are already and the number of members that are established already too. The redevelopment will obviously help with that in terms of making more tickets available. But one of the things I do want to talk about a little bit is the fact that the club are also introducing auto renewals from this time next season. This is something, Chelsea, that you could generally have an opinion on, because it's not specifically about the membership. It's about the auto renewals that are going to be in place, which is, if you're into that sort of thing, it does take away a lot of the hassle in terms of remembering to renew, especially if you're away on holiday. But there is also, importantly, the option to opt out of those auto renewals. But my question to you both is, what happens when redevelopment starts of the City Ground? Let's say, for example, it does start in 12 months' time in the off-season. Obviously, we don't yet know whether that's going to be the case. They're going to get a shed load of auto renewals through, and yet if there is a stand that's being knocked down, the number of tickets that are going to be available for these members is going to be pretty much zero, you would have thought. So any thoughts, Chelsea, on the club taking all of this money when there are effectively no tickets available for them to buy?
I think, yeah, it seems really good, the fact that, look, if people do forget and they can just auto-renew, automatically, that's fine. But there might be the dangerous side of, like you said, with the new stand being built, you could upset a lot of people. That is the flip side of it as well. And there's probably going to be a lot of people who, where it has auto-renewed, where they didn't want to renew it, have totally forgot, and then it's just automatically done it anyway. So it really is two sides of a coin. You're going to have people which, yep, amazing, works really well for them. They're forgetful, they're away on holiday, they're at work, whatever. But then also as well, you are going to upset quite a lot of people. So it is really like stuck between a rock and a hard place situation. So
yeah, it is very much so. And I agree. Fans are fickle though, aren't they, Mollo? Fans will pay to feel that, to get that membership, to get that opportunity to get tickets or feel connected. I mean, we're the same. I've already renewed this summer and I will next summer without a shadow of a doubt. But
absolutely,
you've got that continuity of membership to think of as well.
I am the horror story for auto renewal, and I can tell you my horror story. When we got promoted back to the Premier League, I had trouble initially organising away tickets. I thought I'm not going to miss them all. So I became round about September, October time in our first season, became a member at Manchester United just in case. Okay. And it was, funny enough, it was only about 20 quid, so it was like low chance of tickets. And as it happens, I managed to get a ticket for the Forest game because I couldn't get one in a Forest end that particular Christmas. And I thought, brilliant, paid 20 quid for the membership. My ticket was, I forget now, maybe 40 or 50 quid. But then, of course, a year later, 20 quid goes out my account from Manchester United, by which time I've managed to sort out how to do away tickets without messing it up, and we've got our IT sorted for once. And for 3 seasons, I paid Man United membership, and it's so hard to cancel. So please, Forest, make it easier to cancel for those that don't. So I look at it. I chipped in to buy the likes of Anthony and help them go where they've gone recently. So it is true. You have to be careful. I think you've rightly say, Simon, if next season the main stand does come down, the lack of seats, I think I'm right in saying you're looking at about 25,000 capacity without the main stand. Straight away, 2,500 are away fans max. They might be able to get dispensation to have a few less because of the building work. Call it 2,000. That's not a lot left. My family were the core pro members, whatever it was, not pro, core members, and we managed to get tickets for most games, not all, but most. Funnily enough, though, the big 6 games were the toughest, but got tickets for all the cup matches, which we got brilliant payback, didn't we? All the people that went to cup matches, because then when it was Wembley, it was easy to get seats. It is risky though. If you've got, I don't know how many it is, 10,000 members, and there's only 2,000 seats, and of those 10,000 there's probably a good 1,500 core that have been going to every game on the pro membership. So I don't know. And that's £99 that pro membership. So if you're paying that and not getting a ticket,
I think given the reduced capacity, in my opinion, you've got to look at reduced membership costs. You can still have an auto renewal in place, but if you're paying a membership fee to have a product that isn't available to you, then you'd want to pay reduced fee, wouldn't you, to compensate for that? So, I mean, obviously, time will tell. It's going to happen whether it's next summer or the summer after. This problem is going to happen regardless.
You don't want to overpromise. No, sorry, you don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, do you? That's the main thing. So,
and it's interesting when you see the list of benefits. It's really long. I couldn't tell you what any of them are apart from access to tickets.
Okay.
None of the rest of it really matters. The Junior Reds one is a couple of things I think actually. A chance of being a mascot, although he's nearly as tall as me, so look a bit silly maybe. But the benefits they offer don't really matter. It's the ticket access, isn't it?
It is the ticket. Most people do it for the ticket unless you're a Junior Red or a child as part of the youth package, I think, because you get a gift. I mean, having said that, we had 2 children here who were both part of the youth package last year and never received their gifts. So I had to ring up and find out where the gifts were, and I think it got to something like February or March, still no sign of the gift. So I rang the ticket office and they said actually they'd been marked as having been shipped, but we hadn't got anything. So they did, thankfully the club did deliver and they did ship out the membership packages in the end. But it kind of highlighted a hole in the process, the fact that they'd been marked as shipped, but we hadn't received anything. So anyway, but that's by the by. Right, we're going to pause there quickly for a quick break.
Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold, soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
If you went on a road trip and you didn't stop for a Big Mac or drop a crispy fry between the car seats or use your McDonald's bag as a placemat, then that wasn't a road trip. It was just a really long drive. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating McDonald's.
Right, coming towards the end of the show now, we've got loads of transfer rumours doing the rounds at the minute. And I know you don't necessarily, either of you, pay any attention to those rumours, but so we're not going to go through every single one, but there are a few nice ones that we can have an opinion on. The first one being Elanga, with Newcastle still sniffing around. The latest is that they've submitted a third bid for Elanga. It's just becoming a bit of annoying now, the story's not going away. Villa are now rumoured to be interested as well, although I haven't seen too many stories on that. But from obviously we all want Elanga to stay. He's a key component of the team, much like Neco Williams was early in terms of signing a new deal. But this has got to draw to a close soon, hasn't it, Chelsea? One way or the other. It can't go on for much longer, can it?
Yeah, Villa and Newcastle can do one, if in my eyes, to be fair. I love Elanga, but I am getting bored of all the rumours about him now. That's a rumour that I can't pretend not to hear, which is usually what I do with all the others, to be honest. But I mean, if he wants to go, then let him go. That's my opinion. If no one wants to stay at Forest, then they are better off leaving, because you don't want to be carrying dead weight. But I don't want him to go. No, they need to do one. Newcastle and Villa, do one. I want him to stay, selfishly. The club wants him to stay. We all want him to stay. But yeah, if he wants to go. But personally, I don't want him to at all.
The club do have all the leverage at the moment, though, because he is under a long-term contract.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a Champions League club dangling Champions League football in front of your eyes with a massive pay rise, you would have thought, I don't care what job you're in, you'd be interested, wouldn't you? Yeah. And what annoys me, though, is you see these reports in the media that say the player is reportedly keen to go, and it's like, well, how much of that is agent talk? How much of it is truth? You just don't really know. It's unsettling to see those stories in the press, but if Newcastle come back with 60 million, Mollo, that could be 320 million signings, couldn't it, in theory? My view is, if they decide to sell, then sell, but don't let the overall quality of the squad suffer as a result. If that sale makes the overall quality of the squad better, that's what they've got to aim for.
I think you hit the nail on the head. If Cloughie, his mantra is what's guided us through our footballing lives, I guess. He said every player has his price. I absolutely don't want Elanga to go. Not just what he offers as a player, but he's got a magnificent attitude to improvement, which has got to be infectious. He's also 23, so he's going to get better, and we've seen him improve already. So there's lots of reasons I don't want him to go. I think the club probably will give him a nice big juicy contract offer to try to entice him to stay, and that's completely fair and understandable. If he does want to go and pushes for the move, I don't think he'd agitate for it, but he's not that type of character. But if he pushes for the move, then yes, take the best possible money we can. And the rumours that we've basically signed Igor Jesus for £10 million make you kind of go, okay. If he settles in England and does the job we'll hope he'll do, that could be the bargain of the season. And as you rightly say, with our scouting network that we all have quite a bit of faith in now compared to a few years ago, we could conceivably go out and buy 2 or 3 first team ready players that are going to challenge first team players. Obviously, one replace Elanga potentially. Having also the other things I'm sure you're going to talk about looking like we've sold Sosa. I want him to stay, no doubt about it, because I think it's more than what he just offers on the pitch. However, if we make the right signings out of that money, if it has to happen, it has to happen. I don't want it to happen, let me be clear, no matter which way.
Yeah.
But three £20 million players, looking at the recent business, could be three very, very good first-team players.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned Sosa there. Rumours are that he's on his way to Palmeiras of the Brazilian League, or Sporting in Portugal, depending on which news outlet you read. Obviously not a lot in terms of profit there on that Sosa deal, but clearly he's not going to be one that you would have thought would break into the first team on a regular basis. Jesus, you've mentioned, but the interesting development here is Cunha, is what's happening with him. Is he going to sign or is he not going to sign? Time will tell. The one thing I would say is that no other club are signing him. We're the ones that have been constantly linked throughout the summer, but I've not seen any stories that other teams have actually signed him. So we'll see what happens on that one. Do want to chat a little bit more about Malik Fofana from Lyon. We touched on it earlier. No, if you believe Fabrizio Romano, Forest have had a bid accepted for him, albeit nothing agreed on the player's side. Other outlets report that no such fee has been agreed, but that's the sort of player Forest should be looking at, I think. Molo.
I'd say absolutely. What little I've seen of him, he's a very, very good player. Could even impact straight on our first team if he settles into English football quickly. All these players we're looking at signing up front have got one major obstacle first, and that is a 20-goal in form superb striker in front of them to try and replace or at least challenge and be ready to come in when they're called upon. I do wonder if you remember when that team down the road were in deep trouble and had a bit of a fire sale of players, and their players were fairly rubbish that they were selling. I do wonder if this is potentially Lyon having a bit of a small fire sale and having to sell players slightly less than what they could be, because he's the sort of player I would have imagined would have gone for significantly more money than that. So that could be a real coup and could help them get out of their financial trouble at the same time, which of course wouldn't benefit us at all.
Yeah, the way I look at this deal, 20-year-old young player who's got ambitions of playing in the Champions League, according to various press reports. Now, if I was Forest, I would sell the club in much the same way as I would have done when talking to Liam Delap Chelsea around Ipswich, who's a young up-and-coming striker, where reportedly the club were saying to Liam Delap, look, come and sign for Forest, play here for a couple of years, score some goals, and then move on to a bigger club. And that kind of fits the business model that Forest are after in terms of signing and developing young players and selling them on for a profit. So Fofana, I know we don't know too much about him in terms of his ability, but does that sound like a sound business model to you to approach it that way?
Yeah, I think that's when you have to look at youngsters like that. You almost want to not sell yourself as a stepping stone, but also secretly do that as well. Come to us, we're a great club, we've got togetherness, you can then work your way up as a result of this. And a lot of the time players do go, actually, I do prefer to stay here, I can grow here, I can develop here. I think, like what you said, that's what Liam Delap's done. I think, you know, with Town being relegated, I think they did hit that ceiling and he then couldn't grow from there. Obviously he's then sorry, putting a little dig there.
Has to be done.
I do live in Ipswich and I don't particularly like them either, but that's okay. but yeah, so I think same with Delap, him going to Chelsea, he's only going to improve, he's only going to get better, he's only young, and I think that's what we need to attract, and that is what we have always attracted as well. You look at Elanga, you look at Murillo, they've only got even more outstanding players, and I think that's what Forest thrives on doing.
Breaking news, I just saw an alert pop up on my phone that said from a Nottingham Forest X account saying, we are delighted to announce the signing of, then the notification disappeared, so I had to just quickly see who it was, and it was Amy Rogers, Scotland International for the women's team.
Oh, excellent. We need that team to we need the ladies to get into the Super League, Women WSL, for two reasons. One, to grow the women's game in this area more, and two, because next time we're in financial trouble, we just sell them for 50, 60 million or however much. But no, that's good news. I'm pleased about that. I do follow the ladies' team as well now. I have done for a little while, especially with having a daughter who's very interested. Yeah,
right. Last bit of transfer news. The Juventus pair, Weir and Mbangula, again, apologies for butchering his name, who apparently, depending on what source you read, either rejected Forest or they pulled out of negotiations. Who cares? The fact is that neither of them are actually coming to the team. And what I've found interesting since then is that neither of them have played since for Juventus in the Club World Cup. So maybe that says a lot about their attitude and where their heads are at, perhaps.
Yeah, I've knew very little about them. Some people who know more than me, apparently, about Italian football were raving about one of them. I can't remember which one. But at the end of the day, if they don't want to come, they don't want to come. Much like we said, if people don't want to play for Nottingham Forest, of course they'd be well paid for doing so, and we're in Europe, etc., etc. If they don't want to come, don't want them. We want people with good attitudes, like the guys we've got there now.
Right, we're coming. Sorry, go on, Chelsea.
No, sorry. No, I was just going to say, I didn't really know too much about them, but from what I had heard, that was real dead in the water right from the start, wasn't it?
Yeah, it never really took off, did it?
No.
Right, coming to the end of the show, as promised, we are now going to attempt to play the Neco Williams quiz that Forest have put on their website. None of us have looked at the questions, and I don't even know how we're going to be told the answers for any difficult ones, but we're going to play it now. We've got 5 minutes. The clock is counting. So over to you both, or well, actually for all of us. And what date did Neco sign for Forest? The 9th, the 10th, the 13th, or the 15th of July?
9th of July, I'm going to say, because I'm sure he's one of our first signings.
I only thought it was the 10th, only because I remember saying, "Oh, that's a good birthday present for me," and my birthday's the next day. I remember saying that, but it could be the 9th. It's all very close together.
Right, well, I like your logic better than Mollo's, Chel. So we're going to go for the 10th, and well, I think we got a green one on that one.
Oh,
well done, Chelsea.
Right, against which side did Neco make his Forest Premier League debut?
I know that one. West Ham.
The options were...
No, it's Newcastle.
Newcastle.
Yeah, I thought it was Newcastle.
Well, the options were Newcastle, Man United, West Ham or Everton.
Hang on. It was... Did he play right back? Yeah, Newcastle.
Yeah.
I thought it was Newcastle.
Question 3. Against which team did Neco score his first Premier League goal for Forest?
Brighton.
And the choices are Newcastle, Brighton, Liverpool, Arsenal. Brighton.
No, Liverpool, because that was against his old club.
Yeah, Liverpool. It was an own goal, wasn't it? The deflected goal, Liverpool, sorry.
Question 4. Against which side did Forest first keep a Premier League clean sheet with Neco in defence? And again, the choices, Newcastle, Palace, Liverpool, West Ham.
West Ham.
Yeah, go West Ham.
Yeah,
1-0.
Green. Question 5. Against which team did Neco chalk up his 100th Forest appearance? The choices are Spurs, Villa, Everton, Man United. Do you want to phone a friend or can't go 50-50?
Say again.
Spurs, Villa, Everton or Manchester United?
Everton.
All right, let's go with that one. Chelsea, happy with that one?
Yeah.
Oh no, it was Villa.
I knew it was near the end of the season.
As of the end of the 2024-25 campaign, how many appearances has Neco made for the club? The options are 103, 105, 110, 107.
How close are the numbers together? Do you?
Only because I saw it on Sky Sports. I was waiting for the number, but then they said the number and it scared me a bit. I'm sure they said 107 on Sky Sports.
Correct.
Yes.
How many minutes has Neco played in Forest colours? You wait till you hear the options.
Hang on, I'm doing some maths here.
Yeah, 6,977, 6,800, 7,002 or 6,970. Or do what's 107 times 90? Because I don't think he ever been substituted.
He's been subbed on quite. He had a spell where he kept coming on to finish off games as well, didn't he? I reckon he's probably averaged 75 to 80 minutes a game across all of those games. I can't do the maths. I can't remember the options either.
What was the last one? 6,900 something?
6,970.
Should we go with that?
Yeah, let's go with that
1,800 for a season, isn't it? So
it was 6,000. It was the first one. The 6,000. The questions disappeared now.
So.
But it was A. What is Neco's current Forest squad number?
Number 7.
Yeah, of course.
Yep, 7.
Good.
Didn't even need to give you the options for that one. How many clean sheets have Forest kept when Neco has appeared in the Garibaldi? 29, 20, 18 or 25?
I can't be 18.
I don't know.
It's too low,
a minute
isn't it?
left.
We got 13 last season, didn't we? But not many in the 2 before that.
No.
I'm going to go for 20.
Go 20. I wouldn't be 18.
20.
Ah.
And finally, from 107 appearances for the Reds, how many of those appearances have been from the start? And the options are 73, 65, 100 or 87.
Ooh.
So it's going to be 100 or 87, isn't it?
Oh, see, I thought lower.
Definitely not 100.
I thought it was going to be...
He had a long spell, didn't he? Don't forget, we had Serge Aurier, and he came on as sub quite a lot because Serge was an old fella.
So
we had that World Cup winner who was garbage, Gonzalez.
It's got 73, 65 and 87.
I'm going 73.
I'll go 73.
It's a very, very good year as well.
73 it is. So we completed 8 out of 10 correct.
That's not a bad effort.
That's all right.
Tough questions in there.
Some of them were so close together, weren't they? A lot of them.
Yeah. Did you feel flustered, Chelsea, having to do all of that in 5 minutes?
I did. Well, not as flustered as the geography one last time. God.
Yeah, your face is almost as dark as Mollo's.
I know. I was getting a bit rosy.
I haven't even been on holiday yet.
You're like Marge from Benidorm, Mollo.
I'm getting about the same age, I think, now, aren't I, as well? So,
right, on. Just before we draw the episode to a close, guys, any other business? Start with you, Chelsea. Anything you want to bring up?
No, just if anyone wants to become a Garibaldi Girls member, I know I've said this before, but please come and join us and be a member. You can go on our Instagram, I'll give you a link, and come and join us, all Forest fans.
Cool, nice one. Mollo, anything from you?
No, only the Garibaldi Girls on Saturday. This Saturday, as the time of recording, are in a tournament in Eastwood Town. If anyone wants to go and support, it's for a fantastic charity, the Will Garvey Foundation, a young Forest fan who took his own life a few years ago now, and they're raising money for men's mental health.
Are you managing the team, Mollo?
No. Ellie's playing.
Oh, is she? Are you going along to cheer her on?
I'm being dragged along. Do you know what? I'm a bit nervous because Ellie said, bring your trainers.
So what position does Ellie play, Mollo? Is she following in her old man's footsteps, being a super sub? Or?
Left back in the changing rooms. Yeah. She hasn't got my goals record. My 1 in 20. I think it's a 5-a-side tournament, to be fair, so she'll be where the ball is. But she won't do anything with it, but she'll be where the ball is.
Yeah, good luck to Ellie and the Garibaldi Girls in that
Ellie.
tournament. If you were playing Chelsea, where would you play? What's your favourite position?
Oh, I'd definitely be centre back. I was like, I'm tall, I'm 5'10", broad-shouldered. That's exactly where I'd be. Head in, I'll be the Milenkovic of the team. That's where I'd be, shouting at everybody. That was me all the time.
Yeah, you were taller than I expected when I met you, Chelsea. I didn't expect you to be tall. You're taller than your dad, aren't you?
From 2 very, very short parents. I don't know how I was created. Probably the milkman, but never mind.
Yeah. Well, that's a head-in-hands moment to end the pod, I think. So thanks, guys, for joining us again this week. Mollo, Chelsea, thanks to you too. We hope you enjoyed the show. Once again, if you could give us a rating and a review on your podcast catcher of choice, that would help us out enormously. And in the meantime, we shall be back in your ears with another podcast very soon. So bye for now, and you Reds.
Podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Craftsman Days are here at Lowe's with big savings on the tools you need. Save $100 on the Craftsman V26 Tool Power Tool Combo Kit, now at $199. No matter what the project is, Craftsman's high-quality, high-performance products empower you to build on. Visit Lowe's and check out the full line of Craftsman tools today. Valid through 7/9 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. Maximum initial battery voltage measured without a workload is 20 volts. Nominal voltage is 18.